Hello, welcome to Humanity Chats. My name is Margie March. I am your hostess. We come to you on Thursdays, and you know what? We get together to talk about everyday issues that impact humans. Today, we have an interesting guest all the way from Minneapolis, Minnesota. His name is Collins Kofi Oppong. Guys, I cannot wait for you guys to hear about Collins. He is the originator and host of Africa Let's Talk. This show exists to equip, empower, and connect the African community in the diaspora with information and programs that help to make informed decisions. Collins also happens to be the CEO of Beyond Media Solutions. His company provides organic, tailored media and marketing solutions that uplift small companies and organizations to meet their goals. I think we're going to have an interesting conversation today. So if you're here, welcome. Welcome to our YouTube viewers. Welcome, Facebook. Welcome to our podcast listeners. We are growing over 200 cities. That is amazing. I cannot wait for you guys to get to know Collins Kofi Oppong. And so at this time, we are going to bring him from the green room. Hold tight. This is Humanity Chats with Margie. Hello, Collins.
Hi, Margie, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It is an honor to have you join us today.
Absolutely. It's a big honor to me as well to really have this conversation with you.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, Collins, you are coming to us from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I bet our viewers would like to know a little bit more about you. So, who is Collins?
Yeah, indeed. Collins is a young man. Sometimes I say and I have to look over my shoulders to know who is watching to see if I'm indeed a young man. But yeah, it's a young man who grew up mostly in Ghana. I grew up from Ghana and actually from one of the remotest places in the central region called Bremane Sikuma. So until I schooled in college in Ghana in business, and I moved to the United States actually about 7 years ago. And since I've been in the United States, I have been involved with working in the hospitality industry, in the service industry, in the financial industry, until recently, where I have tried to dedicate my time and energy to really connect our community. I feel that there's a lot of work we can do to connect our community with all the possibilities and the important things that we are already missing out, so that I can be the guy who is setting up what I do to see how we can connect the community to the opportunities and resources that are around us. And by so doing, I've started the African Let's Talk platform, which is what I use to really engage leaders and other people, and also to actually provide our community with what they need to know in the community, and also with regards to everything that is happening around. And I've also started a business, like you mentioned. So yeah, that is just a bit about me. I am married with 2 children, and my family, my dad unfortunately passed recently, but my mom is in Ghana with my siblings as well.
Wow, Collins, it's good to know you. Congratulations on your marriage. I think I saw pictures about that on social media recently. So, congratulations. And I'm happy with you and your 2 kids and all that you're doing for your community. As you rightly said, you're bringing awareness into that community. You're highlighting businesses. I see you doing a lot of great things. But before we get into that conversation, Collins, I would like to learn a fun fact about you. I bet Collins is not all about business all the time. So come on now. Yes, yes. Come on, share a fun fact with us.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's interesting. A fun fact about me. Okay. I love hiking, as people don't know that, but I love to hike. I haven't done it many times, but it's something I like to do. And I believe it's also because when we're young, we used to go to the farm a lot. I mean, we would travel, we walk on our feet for 3 miles to the farm, and then you come back carrying a load of firewood, a load of cassava, plantain, whatever your mom or your dad would give you. So maybe out of that, I have begun the interest of walking, and I just love to hike. And yeah, people don't know. So hopefully, it's a fun fact about me.
Yes, yes, yes. Wow, Collins, that's good. Lately I've joined a walking group that tries to do at least 10,000 steps a day. I
Oh
think
wow!
I think I'm the least qualified in that group because sometimes I'm hustling and it's 11 p.m. and I'm walking around my living room, going around in circles. I'm like, I've got to get the steps. Yes, yes. And so
Wow.
I try. Yeah.
No, but it's a good thing. I mean, for me, how I look at it is that whatever way we can be creative about our exercising is a good thing. So yeah, I would want to congratulate you. It doesn't matter. You don't have to necessarily meet the 10,000 steps. If it's halfway, quarter way, I'm sure you are making progress, and that is what is most important.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for giving me that pat on the back. Progress, progress. Hey, hello, Anne Helm. We see you waving. Thanks to Dela Kujiku for joining us as always. Yes, yes. This is Collins. Now we're ready for that conversation. Yes, viewers, listeners, today we're going to be talking Africa with Mr. Beyond. Collins's Nick, is it your nickname or is it your stage name? Who is Mr. Beyond?
Yeah, Mr. Beyond. Yeah, I think it's both the nick and the stage name. So I MC programs, and with whatever we're doing with the media, I realized that I wanted a niche. I wanted something that I can be identified with. I cite my name. I love my name, Collins Kofi Oppong. I love it, but I wanted something that I could identify with. And actually, so that's when it came. And it came with me setting up an email about 4 years ago. And when you're trying to set up the email, you pick Collins and they said, "Oh, it's taken." And Collins had this is taken. So then I was thinking around a name that I could use as my stage name and also just for fun. And I said, "Okay, Collins Beyond." So yeah, that's when it started. Then when I wasn't married, I realized that okay, it's hard to be called Mister when you're not married. So why don't I call myself Mister Beyond? So yeah, for the period of 2 years until I was married, I just wanted people to call me Mr. Beyond, and it's been like that for a while.
Okay, so Mr. Beyond is gonna go beyond. Take us all, yes, take us all with him. Now, I have watched and listened to some of your programs. Kudos to you for highlighting, Africans in the diaspora and highlighting very important cases that are and causes that are going on in your community. And I guess first, I would like to ask why you decided to start your program, Africa Let's Talk.
Yeah, so it started off actually for the reason that I always see myself as people's person. I'm easily connecting with people or people easily connecting with me. So mostly I was doing that with the emceeing of programs, and I find myself emceeing programs in the Nigerian community, Ghanaian community, in the Togo community, whatever. And then I also started a project, or I was invited to join a project with Fullback Closets and as the faction events manager. So it was at that event that a gentleman walked up to me and said, "Hey, I like you, and I feel there's something we can do together. And I've already started a media podcasting. So would you like to come over?" So yeah, I went over. And we talked, and I said, "Okay, yeah, I think I've always wanted to do something. So why not?" So we started from there. It's called Empire Africa. And we started from there doing the African Let's Talk show once every week. Actually, we started, I think, once every week, sometimes twice every week. Then until over a year ago when I decided to do this on my own because I needed a new direction to the program. Yeah, so that is how the African Let's Talk program came together so that we can further connect the African community, our people, so that we can be heard. We can hear it from them, experts here and there. And I feel it's quite an interesting way to know what is going on in our community and the people that are taking active role in different aspects of our community.
Wow, that's amazing to get people engaged, Collins, because I noticed that even during the US Census, you had programs encouraging people to make sure they were counted. I know you are in Minneapolis, and there have been a lot of hot issues in Minneapolis these days. Um, would you mind sharing with us how you were able to convey, for example, the George Floyd trial to your community? How was it? How did you manage to get in the front lines, and how were you able to relay that information?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the census. So when the census came around, an organization called ASAR approached me and said, "Hey, we'd like to use a platform so that we can further let people know about the census, educate people," because it was very clear that those of us as immigrants were very reluctant when it came to census. We didn't want to be counted. We felt it would go against us in one way or the other. So yes, we started using the platform to now educate the community to understand. And it came out pretty good because Minnesota and of course people from our community turned out to be counted. And we were probably by far the states, the first state or the states with the highest counts in the census, so which was good. So we achieved something good right there. With regards to the George Floyd and of course Derek Chauvin case, what then we had to do was to further go ahead to let people know what is going on with the court proceedings, with the community engagement and all of that, so that there can be conversations. I feel that the more people hear and be part of conversations, the more they understand the process, and by so doing, they'll be educated of the process. So yes, when it came, we kind of partnered with other local media houses, Fox 9, Cur 11, and then when they were streaming, we would also stream from their sites so that people would know what is going on. And around the time, we also engaged with different community leaders, including the police, including other law enforcement officers, including leaders from different communities. Like I mentioned, we were working with ASAR, so we would engage with communities that are doing some work which has some bearing on the African and the Black community. So yeah, we're talking to them to understand what their emotions and everything is, and that is how we were able to help our community to rally and be part of the whole thing which was happening around the George Floyd and Derek Chauvin time.
You used a keyword, which is rally, and that's what you're doing. Hey, people, if you're just joining us, this is Humanity Chats with Margie. Today we're talking to Collins Kofi Oppong out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we're talking Africa. We're talking all things Africa. And by me saying that we're talking things Africa, Collins is located in Minnesota, and what he's doing is he has this show, Africa Let's Talk, where he brings community leaders, businessmen, small businesses, mid sized businesses, community issues, advocacy. He brings it all to the table to make sure that the African community out in Minnesota, and I believe even beyond Minnesota, is informed. What he's doing is, he talked about the census and how he helped to get people counted. He informs the community about certain issues that they may not be familiar with, or even promotes businesses. Now, Collins, I know that you've had several guests on your show. Would you mind sharing who some of those guests have been and what you have talked about?
Yeah, so it's been interesting. It's been interesting array of guests that I have hosted on the program, ranging from high schoolers with leadership abilities who have something to share with the community, to youth leaders, to pastors, to business leaders, to entrepreneurs, to politicians. And of course, notable amongst them, I believe. So recently, I hosted the Minister of Information from Ghana, which was a big deal because we wanted, as people in the diaspora, to understand some of the key things that were taking place in that part of the continent. I've also hosted as politician Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, during the run up to the elections, where she was actually standing for re-election to go back to Congress. So we did a candidate forum that featured her, and I was the moderator. I've hosted. Sometimes, yeah, I have to look back to think. Okay, some of the names that come to mind, but I mean, business. Okay, so I also hosted Dr. Arikana, and we know Dr. Arikana to be very much involved. She was the former African ambassador to the United States, and we having great conversations with Dr. Arikana. And so, yeah, those are some of the key people that we have had to engage with. But then, like I said, it has also been like very, very ordinary, and if I know, actually regular people in the community, from students to youth leaders to entrepreneurs. Like, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are coming out with great ideas that we have had to host on our programs, and those are some of the people that I would mention that we have hosted on our programs.
Wow, Collins, Mr. Beyond, thank you for doing this. You did some name dropping there. Yes, you have everyday people coming on your show, and you also have representatives from the state and from the federal level, and also from Africa. So kudos to
And
you.
let me mention this. I mean, it's also exciting to know. For example, just yesterday, I hosted an 8-time boxing champion in the United States, and he's only 14 years. So, yeah, I take interest in that so that I can talk to young people with such minds, with such great talent. And it was so exciting listening to him, listening to how he's able to go about what he does, the fact that he is able to train 6 days in the week to achieve the successes he's achieving. Now, recently, I also hosted and had a conversation with DJ Switch. She's a global DJ icon. And it was so fun. I don't know. Now I think I'm going to commit about 50% of my work to talking to younger minds because I feel there's so much genuineness. There is so much enthusiasm. There is so much that we are yet to tap into the younger generations. And especially when we say that the future belongs to them, then I want to be part of their future. So yes, those are some of the key people. And I had an interview with your son. That is over a year ago, and it was an eye-opening interview, Adam. And yeah, so I think my focus actually is going to be on some of these younger Africans in the diaspora who are making some inroads, so that they can serve as role models to other younger people.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Collins. I think what you're doing is providing a platform where others will be inspired and motivated to do their best. So that's pretty good. Now, this is my question for you. Your show is Africa Let's Talk.
Right.
And from what you just said, some of your guests are from Africa. Do you happen to target the audience in Africa as well, or do you just target the audience in the USA, or do you target audience in Minnesota?
Yeah, so it depends on what the focus is, but we actually, in all the areas that you mentioned, we want to, the main focus was to target audience in African audience in the United States. But they said charity begins at home. So most of the things we did from the beginning were with leaders and with guests who live or were doing some things in the United States. Because remember, until the pandemic, it was an in-studio engagement. So we invite the guests to come into the studios to speak to us. So mostly it was for people in the Africans in Minnesota. But then now we are expanding because we have guests from Florida. We've hosted programs that we have guests from Arizona and Atlanta and all other places in the United States. So yes, our focus mainly is Africans in the diaspora, but then also depending on what we are talking about, our interest of the guest or the audience have gone as far as Nigeria, Ghana, and other parts of Africa.
Well, so Mr. Beyond, your show is really going beyond. That sounds like a cliche. I'm like, yeah, I'm repeating the word, but truly, you are not just in Minnesota. Your goal is to be heard all around the world.
Oh yes, we want to make input. We want to be able to impact. So because it's the time of the internet, you don't even know the people who you are impacting. For example, about a couple of months ago, I was hosting a program on mental health, and there is a man from Kenya who was watching us all the way from Kenya, and later he got in touch with me and said, yeah, he's going through some depression and all of that. So then I had to talk to Madam Anda, Abba Anda. Of course, you introduced me to Madam Abba, and we had to help him in the way that we could. So, what I'm trying to say is that in this world of the proliferation of the internet and everything going on, we don't even know who we can impact. So, yes, we are throwing wide our net, and hopefully, whoever has to connect with our work will definitely connect with our work.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Collins. You are doing the work, and we are grateful for that. The African community around the United States is grateful to you for providing that information. As someone who is originally from Ghana, I happen to know that there are times that there may be some immigrants who may feel a little bit disconnected because, their communities may not be familiar with certain things. So thank you, Collins, for making sure that you're throwing a light onto that.
Absolutely. Yeah. We want our communities to be engaging and to be engaged as well. And I think there's actually a lot of more work we have to do. I look at the work we have done and I think, oh, wow, there's a lot more we can do to even connect further communities. And with our work, until the pandemic, we have also partnered with other events, for example, the African Awards, which is one of the great African awards here in Minnesota, which is rewarding and recognizing African leaders and also entrepreneurs and people who are making some good. And I was privileged enough to present one of the awards about 2 years ago. So what I'm trying to say is that even beyond using our platform, we are able to also connect with other establishments who are also doing some things to really bring and our community together.
Yes, yes, bringing the community together is key. And now, since you talked about African awards out there in Minnesota, I think I have a nominee for you. Her name is Rosamond Sapon Owens. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
she has not only does she have books coming out, she also has her first book, Apples in the Seed, is out there. She just came out with a children's book about an educator, a powerful educator from the Minneapolis area,
Mhm.
and she is about to drop some children's books. I think she has like three new books coming out soon. And she has the Heritage Collection. Her
Mhm.
goal is to reach children and to make everybody feel like they really do matter. And so, yes, that's someone you should consider for. Tell your team to consider Rosemont Sapon Owens for a big time award. I don't know what the categories are, but yes, yes, y'all
Yes,
got to lift
indeed.
her up.
Indeed, I mean, she is an amazing figure. I mean, she's a role model to a lot of young ladies around here and young girls, in especially in the African Ghanaian community. And I've had the privilege to speak to her when she actually launched her book, Apples in the Seed, and it's amazing that the kind of commitment, and she's always on the move, always making things happen. So yes, I know she's received some awards in the past, but more awards indeed, I believe, are on the way for her. So she should just keep up with the great work she's doing. And of course, other women like Madam Rosemont Owens, we are also encouraging them, like Comfort Dondo of Pumulani. And Pumulani is the Pumulani, Minnesota Women Against Violence. Like women like that, I love to engage with them because of the great work that they are doing. And Nalima of ASAR, which is the African Career Education and Resources. I mean, embarking on such great movements of pushing things the way of the African way. I mean, if I don't know, to explain further, so she's able to help get to tables that discussions are affecting Africans, and she speaks and makes sure that they are channeling the resources to this place. So these are some of the women that I have been so privileged, like Anab. Anab, she's a Somalian leading great interventions here in Minnesota in the Dakota County, making sure that our people are not left behind. So for example, we are working on a project which is a rent hub, and also the Zero Balance Project. And Anab is making sure that every African understands what is going on. They are fully taking advantage of it because there's about $500 million out there to support people who are paying rent. So why not channel part of it to the African? And these women are doing amazing. And I'm happy you brought the name of Madame Rosemont up. And I know definitely she's going places with her gifts.
Well, thank you. Thanks for mentioning and highlighting all these other women, all these trailblazers that are out there. Collins, viewers, this is Humanity Chats. It's a conversation about everyday issues that impact humans. And so we get together, we just have this chat, and we uplift and motivate each other. Today we're talking to Collins Kofi Oppong out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we're talking Africa because his platform is Africans who are in the diaspora. And lately, he's been reaching out to Africans back home in Africa as well. And so, thank you for all the great work, Collins. Now, I cannot wrap up. Our time is almost up. I
Mm.
cannot wrap up without asking you this question. How does it feel like to be Black in Minnesota these days?
Oh wow, that's quite a tough question. It's for me. It can be very very unnerving. It can be quite worrying, and depending on where or which part of Minnesota you find yourself, it can be a bit of emotional kind of constrictions that you may find yourself, depending on which parts. But what we're trying to tell people is that as far as we are trying to um, mend our wounds, care for our wounds, we have to fight through. So, what it means is that we don't want always to be seen as the people who are just struggling to get things done, and we are trying to stop the way to now mourn our pain, but we are encouraging our people to fight through it, to fight through, because we know the end goal. The end goal is that we want to be recognized. The end goal is that we want our people to be respected. The end goal is that we want good human relationship between the community and the police. But whilst we are doing that, we don't want to always be on the sideline, mending, like I said, our wounds. So yes, it doesn't feel totally comfortable to walk the streets, especially when you live on the north side, Brooklyn Park, Minneapolis, North Minneapolis, and all those areas. Because the moment you see the police siren or the police car, it's like you're already shaking. You don't know what's going to happen. And with everything that is going on in the media, with Black people being shot at, sometimes at the least provocation, and with everything, like you don't know, you could be the next person. So yes, it doesn't feel totally comfortable, but we are still working with our chest high. We are still making sure that we are going to be heard, and we are going to push through until a time that we have a seat at the table. Because now I've been talking to another organization called the Inner Hero, who is actually building some conversations between the community and the police to see where do we the level playground for both parties, to make sure that we understand the work of the police and also the police understanding our sentiments and expectations of them. And one thing that we are trying to do is that beyond that level, the next step is how do we find ourselves at the table? Because for so long, in the words of the executive founder of the Inner Hero, we have been on the menu because we are not on the table. So now, how do we find ourselves? How do we make sure that we have representation of people like us, Black people, African people taking up leadership position? So yeah, we are deliberately going to make sure that we are supporting Black African people into political leadership. We are deliberately going to make sure that we are supporting Black African people in businesses, in entrepreneurships, in innovations. Because when we find ourselves in those areas, then things become a lot easier. You see, the fact that you see somebody like you in certain positions, it actually inspires you and it's able to encourage you. And now, talking of that, I would like to say a big shout out to one African woman, Nancy Kosa, the CEO of Black Business Enterprises, for all the great work she's doing. Now, she's making sure that in the area of business, as far as business for Black women and the community is concerned, she is pushing hard in that area. And that is what's now the next step for us to do, to see how we can now revamp and build ourselves up so that whilst we are dealing with the wounds, we are also taking care of the bigger picture, which is making sure that we are at the table.
Wow, Collins, that was deep. That was deep. Listeners, viewers, you heard Mr. Collins Kofi Oppong, who is coming to us out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. He just talked about how it feels like to be black in Minnesota and the inroads that they're making and how to make sure you get a seat at the table. But you know what? As Margie March, I always say that sometimes you may not be called into the table onto the table, but you know what you do? You make your own table. And so if the seat is not offered to you, you know what? Pull up those chairs, bring your peoples, and make your own table.
Wow.
Together, we can go far, and
Wow.
you know, we can do it.
I
Um,
love that. I love that. I mean, yes, indeed, we need to make our own table. Yes, so that actually that should be the next big step for all of us. And that reminds me when I was listening to Tyler Perry a while ago at an award ceremony, and that was even before he built his big studios in Atlanta. And he said, "Yeah, whilst everybody else is fighting to be at the table, I am building one in Atlanta." And we all saw what has happened. So yes, it's a good thing that we begin to look at this. Picture in this big way because yes we are the next big thing to happen to the world.
Yes, yes. Well, people, we have been talking Africa with Mr. Beyond, and some of you may wonder, okay, they're not talking just about the continent of Africa, they're talking about issues in America. Yes, Africa is within all Black folk. Africa is within us. And so when we say we're talking Africa, we can be talking Africa as is happening in Minnesota these days, or he can be talking Africa as it is, the lights that he is shining on Africa from Minnesota. Thank you, Mr. Collins Kofi Oppong. Now, if people want to learn about you, do you have a website? How do they get to watch your show? Could you please give us that information?
All right. So now, if people can go to the Facebook page, our page for the African Let's Talk is Africa Let's Talk. So Africa, comma Let's Talk. So if you go to the Facebook page, you are able to follow us. You're able to see all the upcoming shows and the past shows that we have done. And we would love your feedback. So please, even whilst you are following us, if there's any feedback that you can give us, please do give us those feedback. And also, we have a website for the business that is supporting all the work that we're doing, which is Beyond Media Solutions. So you can always go on the website beyondmediasolutions.net to actually understand the business that we are doing and hopefully channel some business our way so that we can continue to do the work that we are doing. African Let's Talk is also going to be on the website, which we are working on. And it's also going to be on the website. So please, if in a very few months, we're going to launch African Let's Talk, the platform itself on the website. And one more thing, if I can mention, is also the African Union Golf Network. So that we started a golf group among a few friends from church, and now it's grown into an organization. And I'm excited to be the PRO and the captain. So you can also always look out for us because it's also one way that I feel we can connect the community. So we are also going to launch the website for the African Unity Golf Network, which has started in Minnesota, and we are going to proceed and launch into other states here in the US.
Wow, thank you for that information. So you heard it. Follow on Facebook, Africa Let's Talk, and learn more at beyondmediasolutions.net. It has been an honor to have you, Collins, with us tonight. We're going to continue the conversation on Instagram. And so if you're not following me, this Margie Marge on Instagram, go right there now and go follow this Margie Marge. ThisMarjyMarj. To learn more about Margie TV and our programming, go to www.margiemarge.com. And you can always subscribe to Margie TV on YouTube. We have some amazing programming. You would not regret it. Thank you. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Innovation Abound. Humanity Chats is a conversation about everyday issues that impact humans. As you know, we always tell you all opinions expressed on the show are the views of the participants. We do not mean to impose. We are thankful to the Margie TV crew for the support. Thankful for all the gifts that we received from the RD collection. Check them out, the RD collection. Their website is on the ticker. Go purchase some of their items because they're really good. We use their candles all the time and we love it. And you know what? We cannot go without telling you. Follow and subscribe to Margie TV on social media, on YouTube, on all the major podcasts. And so Collins and I are going to be talking to you soon on Instagram. I think, Collins, what is your social media handle? Can you tell us that?
Yeah, so for Instagram is Mr. Beyond for real, Mr. Beyond for real, and on Facebook it used to be Collins Kofi Up. Unfortunately, I have been blocked from Facebook, and I'm still working with my team to make sure that we have it resolved. So yeah, we'll be back on Facebook with Collins Kofi Oppong, and on LinkedIn it's Collins Kofi Oppong. My wife just introduced me to TikTok, so it looks like. So I don't even know the name I used, but I'm sure it's Mr. Beyond for real. Yeah, Mr. Beyond for real. So yes, I think there are a lot of amazing things happening, and we want to be part of it.
Well, Collins, I am definitely gonna find you on TikTok. I'm curious the fun things you would be doing there. Thank you everybody for joining us. Next week we're going to be back with Jane Ofori Deku. She has a new book out, and so she wrote, and we're going to be talking about that book. Hey, tune in, go on Eventbrite, book your ticket for Jane Ofori Deku's show. And also we're gonna have Paige Phillips. We're gonna be in conversation with her. You would want to know what we're going to be talking about. So we will see you at 6 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Eastern next week for our two very insightful conversations. Thank you. We will see you on the ground. And until next time, this is Margie Marge and Collins Kofi Yopong saying good night.
Bye. Thank you so much, Maggie, for having me. I truly appreciate it.
I will see you in a little bit.